Hi everyone and welcome to today's session on Adobe Live. Before we start, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we live, create and learn on today, paying respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name is Chris Hansen and I'm a Senior Solutions Consultant at Adobe based here in Sydney. And joining me today is this guy, James Barnard.
So,
welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
Good to have you.
Slightly dustier version of me today. I will admit I had some beers last night.
Okay.
Some people here in Sydney. Me and Flynn went out with Jacob Cass, Jeremy Muir, the Instagram designers in
nice.
Sydney.
Where was my invite?
Sorry, buddy. Yeah. This is the thing. We have to do a live first before.
Go do a live first. Okay, fine. We can do that. Yeah. All right. You're based where? You're based in the Gold Coast?
Based in the Gold Coast, yeah. So
I
I travelled down yesterday on the aeroplane to Sydney to come here. Went around the Adobe offices, picked up all my swag. Do you like my T-shirt?
I do like your...
Yeah, I've got some Adobe sign glasses as well, so we might wear these throughout the
Can you
presentation.
please wear them the whole session?
Probably not. I mean, just for the glare on there. On the
Okay.
monitors there.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Got
But
my
make
free
sure you
stuff.
wear them on the plane back.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Look the part.
So for those joining us today, you had a session yesterday. Can you maybe give us a little bit of a recap on what that is and maybe a bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm James Barnard, freelance logo designer based in the Gold Coast from London. I've worked for something like 15 years in the industry designing logos for people all over the world. I teach everything I know on my social channels. So if you ever get stuck in Adobe Illustrator or you want to know more about the freelance lifestyle, Barnard Co. is where to go on Instagram and TikTok. Yesterday we ran through Adobe Illustrator and we were all about speeding ourselves up in the software. So we were using shortcuts and actions, changing some of the settings. If we go back to my Illustrator document now, Flynn, we can go through some of the things that we picked up yesterday. So we mapped a few of our actions to these buttons on the lovely Create a Micro cam. We've got a dedicated cam today. Set dressing, glasses, looks the part.
I think you've done really well
Thanks,
there.
mate,
The
thanks.
setup is great.
Okay, so let's run through what we did. We had the expand button, so one click there. We've got flip, and we've got flip and copy, so we can make duplicates of that. So I have two buttons for that because I just use it so often. We've got center to artboard, really handy. We have fit artboard to selected art. This is working today, by the way. I broke all my shortcuts yesterday during the live and had to fix them last minute this morning. Export selection, that's really handy. So if you export for SVG or PNG straight away from your artboards, dead handy. And then let's just go quickly through the Pathfinder tools. You all know and love, but I have 4 dedicated keys for these setup because I use them so much. We have Unite, we've got minus front, we've got intersect, and we've got exclude.
Look at how quick you do that. And they were all set up via actions that you can easily access within Illustrator.
That's right. Map to keyboard shortcuts, Shift Command F something, and that's mapped over on my software here to these buttons, which then directly correlate live to this micropad here. So really, really handy stuff. So we're going to take everything that we learned yesterday, put it to practice today. We're actually going to design a logo for a real client.
Okay.
Who happens to be my brother.
Nice.
So I've got a rule in my family, right?
Yeah.
Every member of the family gets one free piece of graphic
Only
design.
one, though.
Only one.
Yeah.
And you're done. So you use it wisely. My brother has used this very wisely. He's starting a company called Titan Fiber Telecommunications, right? So he needs a logo to build like a workforce. He's going to start a company in his hometown with his business partner. They need they're building like like a team. They want to recruit people. Yeah. This whole kind of Titan, Spartan element is something that they really are kind of like pushing for. So
I like that.
They, in my Illustrator file that we had yesterday, we've got our old client logo, which doesn't exist, so I've just put the client name in here. The success statements.
Now, has that success statement come from the client, your brother in this case?
So I work with the client to create this, okay? They'll fill out a branding document for me, like with a lot of questions. Silly questions like if your brand was a celebrity, who would they be? Yeah. He didn't answer that one. Okay. Some clients don't. You take a pinch of salt for these questions and just answer kind of what you need to. But I'll work with them in Discovery to create this success statement. So create a logo that represents strength, that ideally helps to recruit a workforce that is trustworthy and will put themselves forward for any challenge. The logo should incorporate themes to do with Titans, Spartans, Greek mythology, and if possible, show a representation of strands of fiber. And so they, we'll come back to that in just a sec, but they sent me these 2 images in reference here, so these sort of fiber optic display, this Spartan helmet, this is basically what they kind of want to see in the logo. And I found this reference image online of this sort of how a fiber optic cable actually works. It's like strands of optical fibers surrounded by levels of shielding.
Yeah.
And down here is actually one of my rejected logos that I this was actually
You mentioned this
yesterday. I did, yeah. So this is for an electrical cabling company, but the idea actually totally holds up here, and I really like this kind of bracket, sort of negative space use of the. Well, I liked it because I designed it.
Of course.
So and it's because in my terms and conditions I have a line that says any unused ideas or rejected concepts are mine.
Yes.
I can use them for future projects, and
Do you ever get any pushback about that?
No.
That's really good.
Because, they're getting a final product and I'm signing over full sort of ownership of the final logo, which they've paid for. Anything in the sort of working, all the sketches, all of the unused ideas. I mean, some of them I don't even use in presentations, so they're totally mine to use because they've never even seen them.
Yeah.
As long as there's no kind of direct tie-in to their current logo, this one is miles away from where the client actually ended up. They didn't use this at all in any shape or form, and this design was actually accepted into a book. And this, by the way, this design is so good on so many levels. Just float my own boat for a minute.
No, please.
Because it's like as tall as it is wide.
Yeah.
It's so versatile. It fits into landscape and horizontal formats really well. And I'm totally going to nick the concept of this shielding. So I did this sketch. Now, this sketch looks lovely and nicely polished, shaded with a little cross hatching in the shading of the.
You sketched this?
I did, yes, but I sketched this after practicing this at home. Okay, so this is not how I work. My sketches look like this. Okay, they are rubbish. They're really rough.
Well, that's how sketches are meant to be, right?
Quick
They're
and
rough,
fast, quick and dirty. The point is that I sketch quickly to rule out ideas using lines and concepts, to rule out ideas and then immediately dive into the software using my fast setup to work it up in Illustrator as quickly as possible to see if it has any legs or not. And
amazing.
That's my process, backward and forward between the sketch. I'll often take a picture of the sketch, send it into AirDrop, or use Adobe Capture, that one where you can hover your camera over the thing and it turns into a vector.
Nice plug.
Yeah, thank you. Not only, it's not that handy for me because it turns it into a vector, and I'm not that good at sketching. Like some people who are very, very good with like line drawings will totally use that and pull it in and tweak the actual vector. I can't really work like that. So I'm going to rebuild what I've done here.
I've got a question for you. I noticed you go hand sketching, but have you ever tried like Adobe Fresco?
I haven't, but I've spoken with one of your colleagues, Michael Fugoso.
Yes.
Very, very good.
Yes, I interviewed him at Adobe Live last year.
Amazing. He's incredible. I'm not an artist, so I struggle with it, and it kind of feels like a bit of a waste of resource for me because I'm so terrible with it. I have a very good partnership with Field Notes. They provide me with these little booklets, and I absolutely adore them. I carry them with me everywhere.
Nice.
When I was on the plane here, I was sketching ideas for clients. It's so much fun. But yeah, I'm terrible at it. I just use these little lines to do. I mean, look at this. Woeful, absolutely woeful. So we're going to take the one that I practiced at home, which was this one, and we're going to rebuild this in Adobe Illustrator using my fast setup. Now, this section here is where I'd kind of like to start the process when it comes to like the logo type. So what I like to do here is if I've got basically a bunch of workhorse fonts here that have stood the test of time.
Yeah.
You've got your Helveticas, you've got your Futuras, you've got your
Montserrat.
I believe it's in there.
Yeah. Myriad.
Not Myriad.
You mentioned that yesterday.
Yeah. So if we go to Edit and Find and Replace, and we'll put in your type here, and we'll place with Titan.
Just while you're doing that, Megan made a comment. I need to take the plunge and buy one of these.
Yeah.
My carpal tunnel is begging me at this point. I hear ya.
Yeah, it's absolute lifesaver, this thing.
Yeah.
It's the Creator Micro from WorkLouder if you're looking for it. Okay.
Nice.
I'm just going to shrink the font size down here because that was a little bit of a lengthy web. But then we can take a look at this and see if any of these typefaces are standing out to us. Pretty cool. We can also grab this and in our...
Just real quick, I know you did that fast, but how did you get the text in there, like the actual name really fast into all the fonts?
So I've already put these fonts out, just typed out your type here and changed all these. And this is like my setup file for Adobe Illustrator.
Yeah.
It contains this in here. Edit, find and replace, type your type here, put what you want to replace it with, press find, and then press replace all. And
that is a great shortcut, just to do something really fast.
Yeah. And then we can also obviously click all caps and change that to caps just to see if any of these are standing out. So we'll come back to this. I might even I've already done it. Look, my kerning, my tracking is out already by default there. But sometimes I like just to bump this out a little bit just to see if any of these work. When we space them out, especially when we come to make badges, it's really handy to be able to do that. Okay, so we'll come back to that later. Let's start building this. What we're going to do is I'm going to drag this onto a new artboard. Let's be efficient here, Chris. We're going to go to the next one down.
Yes,
paste this here. I'm going to press Command 0 just to get that on screen, and then I'm going to bump this over into the corner so that every time I press Command 0, my little sketch will always be there. We can remove these now. We don't need them anymore. All the screen real estate. Look at all that white space.
So much better to just get stuck in and,
that's
I love it.
By the way, if you want to switch between artboards quickly, press Command 0 and then press Shift, page up and page down. Is a really handy way to cycle through your artboards if you ever, sick of zooming or panning over like this. It's a really quick way to work.
Because honestly, shortcuts, everything that you showed yesterday and what you're showing today really does speed up the time.
Yeah.
You save so much time just getting in between. And I do a lot of video editing, and I use shortcuts like all the time. I try and eliminate the use of the mouse, which is really difficult to do in Premiere, but you get there.
Absolutely. I mean, if you suck at drawing as much as I do, I need to be in the software quickly to make this look good as fast as possible, and this is the whole point. All right, we're going to draw a circle. We're going to press our button, center to artboard straight away. So now we're working from this center point for our design. Okay, I'm going to press Shift and X to flip that to a 1 pixel stroke. I know I said yesterday I'd never use a 1 pixel stroke. Flynn's grinning at me now because I said yesterday that. I changed this in defaults. I need a 1 pixel stroke just to show you what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm going to copy that with Command C, and I'm going to Command F, paste this over the top, and I'm going to shrink this down. So we've got that central cable over here. So we've got like this sort of. By the way, I didn't explain the sketch at all. It's a Spartan helmet with the shielding and the fibers coming out the top as the plumage for the helmet. There you go. It encompasses everything that the client wanted to. By the way, the brand nouns for this project, which is a process I talked about yesterday, fiber, helmet, network icon, and cable were things that we're working with. We've got 3 out of 4 of those in there. I think the client's going to be happy with this. Yeah. He better be, because he's getting it for free.
And he's your brother.
Okay, that's right, yeah.
Do you show the client at any stage the sketch, or do you...
I don't.
You don't?
I don't. So...
Because there could be changes from there, right?
Well, mainly because I suck at sketching. It's so embarrassing. Like, if they're spending thousands of dollars with me to create a logo, and I show them that, they'll be like, what is this? Who is this guy? It's absolutely terrible. Some of my colleagues and people in the industry totally do that. Like Alan Peters, for instance, he shows, I think, something like 15 sketches of the logo to their client, and then they'll use one of them to refine it down. But his sketches are...
Wow.
Mine are not. So I use that brand noun process to come up with these icons that I'm allowed to use as part of the design, and that way there's no surprises for the client.
Yeah.
They've already signed off the pre-approved concepts.
Yeah.
So all they're really going to be signing off when the logo comes is the style the execution of what I've done with these objects. And I'm pretty sure my brother Fred is going to be very happy with this. Okay, so I need to create the sort of shielding sections here. We've got 3, we've got the cable in the middle where the fiber optic sort of plumage comes out. We've got this secondary and tertiary rings here. So I'm going to take our circle, Command 0, and I want to create a ring inside that circle that's equidistant from the, I can't point to my screen, but the bottom of the circle and this line, I want to create an extra circle in there that's exactly in the middle of that as a starting point. So I'm going to go to Object, Blend Options. We're going to go to Specified Steps, change that to 1, press OK, and I'm going to press Option Command B or Alt Control B if you're on PC. And there it creates an absolutely perfect centralized circle right in the middle of that spot. It's absolutely perfect. We're going to expand that. Oh, I should have used my... I did. Okay, well, I'll do that next time. That was embarrassing. Okay, so we're going to take these. I'm going to ungroup them, Shift, Command G, and I'm just going to just squash this a little bit. So we're looking at that on a sort of angle here, but they're not perfect circles because I think the logo would end up looking too tall. I'm going to squash that ever so slightly just to add a little bit of perspective. Now, I'm going to build out these different shapes here. So there's a few ways we can do this. I think the best way is to first... drag one of these, drag this down to duplicate it. I'm going to take my rectangle tool M, and from this line I'm going to draw up to the middle of this circle.
Oh yeah.
Actually going to make that all the way across. And let's do that for the other rings as well. It's going to get a little bit messy here, but you'll see what I'm doing in a minute.
We're kind of looking at it being created in 3D almost.
Almost,
Yeah.
Without
From an angle.
I mean, that's a way to do it. You could use bevel, the 3D tools in Illustrator.
Yeah.
I'm not as good with that, if I'm honest. Sorry, I'm just going to keep these circles where they are. Drag them.
I can
up.
see it forming.
Yeah, and then we're going to put our rectangle back where it was. Sorry, this one needs to be in the middle of that circle. There.
There's a question from Megan. I know you have the one concept approach. So of all the sketches you create, do you work up multiple of these and then present only one?
That's right, I do.
Yeah.
So I used to present 3 to my clients, but there's always one concept that is better than the others.
Yeah.
That you're the most proud of. And I was so sick and demoralized of spending all this time on version 2 and version 3. And that knowing that it wouldn't be selected, and I'm pushing my primary option as you should choose this one. Sometimes, it was so demoralizing to spend 2 days, 3 days creating those versions, knowing, and it was just such a waste of time for me. People were kind of at this point coming to me for my expertise in inverted commas, but if I'm having to create multiple versions, it's not a good use of my time. So, some point last year, I wrote a very nice email to my clients and said, I'm not doing this anymore. And so far, it's been absolutely perfect.
Brilliant.
I've only once had to kind of go back to the drawing board, but this brand noun process, that we talked about before, you wouldn't believe how.
I was going to say it's quite, honed in on what you need to do.
You get the client's feedback in discovery rather than design, because that's not their area of expertise. That's yours, right?
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be like commenting on things like, I don't like the rounded corners, because that's you've done that for a reason, or you should have done it.
Yeah.
Sorry, waffled on a bit there.
No, it's good. It's really good to understand your process and discovery behind this, because I think a lot of people will learn from this as well.
Wicked. All right, so in our sketch, we have the top sections of these shapes cut away using the white space to kind of leave that, what's the illusion called when you do that? It's Knizzer's triangle. I forget what it's called. It's where you remove something from a design, but it leaves an implied shape behind.
Right.
Okay, so that'll come to me in a minute, I'm sure. Press Shift and M for the shape builder tool. Click to combine material. Alt or Option click to remove material. Okay, and now we've got if we press Shift and X on this shape, we have the starting point for our shape. We're going to do that on the others. And this one here, Shift and M again. Click to, let's just remove this.
And you're just clicking those areas
to
to
and it
remove.
fills it in.
Wow.
Boop. Okay, Shift and X. We'll do that one more time on our bottom shape here.
Look at that. It's just forming.
Click to combine. Oh, too many. Click to combine here, and Option or Alt click to remove. Oh, we left a little bit left over there. I could just highlight that with direct selection and press delete twice.
Nice.
V, Shift and X, and there we go. Okay. We've got some, I can see here, we've got some redundant paths.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Sometimes the shape builder tool is a little bit messy. The best way to get rid of those, I've found, is to just grab the ones that you know you want to keep, press Command X to cut, highlight everything that's left over, delete, Apple F to paste back in place.
Nice.
All right, so that's all of our messy path points are gone. We have the basis of our logo here, so we can, I'm just going to tweak these a little bit. I think that shielding is a bit wider in my sketch. In the reference, you see the center point of this is actually very thin. So it kind of sort of sticks out at the top as the very center, and then fiber optic cables are actually quite small. I want to keep it as legible as possible, obviously, but this is a good starting point. So we could use the direct selection tool and highlight the bottom path points only here, drag these down, build that out a little bit. Now we could build out the mask itself. I'm going to do that live inside the actual shape itself. So if I select, let's grab these path points only. Actually, you can just select that bottom path point if I'm right. Press copy, then paste, press Shift and X, and that's our line. I'm going to use my magic button, send it to artboard. I'm going to change that to pink so that we can see it on our screen. I'm just going to bump the stroke way up so you can see that. Okay, so in our mask, it's kind of the angle of the curve is still in the mask in two places. So I'm going to bring that down somewhere in the center there. And then I'm going to Option duplicate that down underneath. This is the eye slit of the mask there.
Yeah.
I'm going to draw my lines down Let's just draw a central direct line directly down to cut the edge of that eye mask away. Let's pop it, let's be uniform here. We'll pop it in line with our existing shape there at the top. And let's draw the nose. So if we go to the polygon tool, click once, press 5 for a pentagon. We can rotate that. And then if we highlight the top 2 anchor points only with the direct selection tool A, shift and drag those up.
Oh, look at that.
There's our
It's
little
creating the shapes.
bridge of the helmet there.
Love it. And while you're doing that, just a quick shout out. We are live. James is designing this logo live. So any questions, pop them in the chat. I'll be more happy to answer them as we go along.
Cool. All right, center to artboard button. Let's drag that nose down to the bridge of that eye mask there. And let's also duplicate this in because it's just got a little kind of closed element for the mouth there. So we're just going to make that a little bit wider than it is.
It's so handy having your sketch up there because I'm constantly looking at that as well.
Yeah. Group those together, center to artboard, just to make sure that they're in the screen, in the center there. And okay, that's pretty good. I think that nose is a tad too big according to our sketch, so we can shrink that down. Hold it down, shift from the bottom anchor point there, get that sort of roughly in place. I think it needs to be a little bit taller, that mask. Just looking at my sketch and my practice, this will be difficult to change after, so let's just do that now. Rule number 1, duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. Vectors are free, right? And it costs money. Straight over to another artboard here. Let's have a copy of that over there before we destructively destroy this design. I'm going to highlight everything. I'm going to press Shift and M for our shape builder tool, and we're going to start cutting this mask away. So we're going to go Option or Alt. There. Oh no, I've gone wrong. That is actually at the top of that mask, isn't it? Just let's bring this down as well. Select our anchor points here, drag those down and touch. I'm just going to check that they're actually overlapping. Press Command Y for outline mode. They are.
Yes.
Fantastic. So when our shape builder tool does its thing, it's actually going to cut those shapes away. I'm going to duplicate that back. Click onto my artboard, Apple F, leave that over there. Back to our other artboard. I could have pressed Shift page down or Shift page up for that. Okay, Shift and M for the shape builder. Let's start cutting away our mask. 1, 2, 3.
It's just as easy as that. That's brilliant.
Element. Let's combine our leftover material there. Turn it to white. Oh, we didn't do the nose. Forgot about that.
That tool that you're using to remove, what's that called?
The shape builder.
Shape builder, yeah.
Yeah. Why is that not combined? Let's just go back and do that last step again. I forgot to include the bridge of the nose. Down into our bridge and then across.
Can you also, you know how you've got the lines and the pink, and it's kind of creating this grid system. Can you explain, is the reason why you do that is so that you then create the shapes that you've just done now out of that?
Yeah, I mean, working in Illustrator, you got to think about shapes cutting away from shapes. Is basically how you build objects, and this is why minus front is so powerful as and Pathfinder and the shape builder tool itself.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly like having to remove material and take stuff away by drawing shapes and then cutting them out, and it's how you sort of form the basis of like a good solid logo. There's other ways to do it, but using these lines is a fantastic way. So we've got these leftover path points here, so we're just going to cut that away, and I'm going to direct select those, delete, Apple F to paste back, and there we go. Okay, we've got the start of our logo. I think that bridge is a bit too long, so I'm going to direct select the face portion there and just bump that up with a shift up cursor. All right, that's the good sort of starting point for our logo. I think I would like that bridge of that nose to be a little bit thicker, but we're not going to have time to muck about too much.
Yeah, I was going to say, see how in your sketch the sides come down a lot further rather than the curve? Yeah.
I mean, I could tweak that totally.
Yeah.
But the thing is, because it's on a curve, I mean, you could do something like hold down on these, press E for the transform tool, just on those paths, and expand those out so they're a bit wider. And now I can take them back up to where they need to be. So that's already looking a bit better. And then, because we've got all our keyboard shortcuts set up, I can draw a line here just to make that a bit bigger. Press flip and copy. Oh, hang on, wrong one. Let's take this. There's a line in outline mode. Flip and copy. Bring that over so it's the exact same angle on the other side. It'd be nice if that snapped, wouldn't it? But it's not. Well, we can just basically group that and center it, and now we know it's in the right place. And then we can get our shape builder tool back and just add those portions in.
Yeah, interesting.
To make the, and then press D.
Megan asked as well, would using rulers work with this process as well?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
I don't think it works with a shape builder. It has to be an actual object to select in order to kind of cut that away.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not bad. We've got a good sort of start point. One thing I might like to do here is to round the corners of these. I don't like that they come at like such fine, sharp points like that. It's not very pleasing. You might run into issues with manufacturing with that. Also, let me just see if this works. Maybe just up a little bit. That wasn't bad.
That looks good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So when I click on these anchor points here, they're too narrow an angle for the rounded corner to show up. So what I can do is I can cut the top off with a line, use the shape builder, and option just remove that top. Select those, and they're not coming up. Sometimes if the path itself is too small, I might cut off a little bit more actually. The rounded corner doesn't show up. It's just too tiny for it to find. There's a couple of ways to fix that. See that, there they are. So now if I take these and just round that corner off, that's a nice little rounded point. Just adds a little bit of subtlety to it. I could do that across all of these other points as well. So let's say if we found the anchor point value here of that corner widget, whatever it was, I lost it now. So corner widget is 1.18. I can copy that value and then add it to all of these sections there too, and paste it in. It'll round those corners at exactly the same angle.
Perfect.
So it's kind of nice and uniform across the design. Trouble is that doesn't match on this side now. So what I'll do is I'll split this in half and flip it over. So
yes, yeah, I was going to say you could
let's
do
do
that.
the other ones first before we move on. How are we doing for time? We're okay. Okay.
We're good.
Cut that off, and we'll cut that off there. So I'll do this one first. Shift and M. If they still don't show up, which they might not do in this one up here, I'll show you a trick to get them back. Pretty small. Yeah, okay, so these ones aren't showing up. It's just too small for Illustrator to find. So what you can do is bring over the transform panel, so window and then transform. We can take this, making sure that our link is checked here, and put some mathematics into our unboxing.
We all love mathematics.
Asterisk 5 times that by 5. That will bump up, and hopefully our corner handles should appear. They do. Fantastic. And then we can select that shape and press back /5 to divide it back down to where it was, and it even retains its original position.
Nice.
So now we have our rounded corners on the right-hand side, but they're not on the left. So what we need to do is draw a line. Just draw it anywhere. We'll make it pink so you can see it. Press center to artboard. Whoop. We can take our tool here. In fact, actually, the best thing to do is to let's make that into a shape, and we'll use a different shortcut rather than.
Yeah, and what you're doing is you're cutting it in half and then symmetrically pushing on the other side, right?
Yeah. So what I did there was draw a shape, paste that back in, select our object, press minus front, again paste, minus front.
Nice.
Now we can take this, flip and copy. Look how quickly we're working, Chris.
I love it.
Okay, and
I don't mind the split in the middle as well, but you never know.
What's happening here is somewhere there is a path point that I missed. There it is. And the bounding box is wrong, so it was not snapping in place. Let's just double check. We've got a few.
I was going to say, how did you pick that up? Is it because it didn't snap?
So it's because the bounding box was slightly wrong. I noticed that it should have been, when I select this, the bounding box should be directly down there, and it wasn't. It was over, which meant my smart guides weren't working, and it wasn't snapping like that.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so now that is, hopefully, if I just press Unite, that's our one shape. Ready to go.
Brilliant.
Okay.
How good is that?
Close our transform panel. All right, we've got some plumage coming out the top of the logo here. I'm just going to shrink this down. We are going to get our line tool from the top, very top, which is the center of that top circle there. I'm just going to make this, if I press D and then Shift and X to convert that into our 1 pixel. Bump that up a little bit just so we can see it for now. I'm also going to take the circle tool, draw a circle, delete the bottom right anchor points.
Some curves.
Make it a very nice
Yeah.
sinusoidal curve there. I'm going to align that with our line. I'm going to, let's just leave that where it is. Now let's get our blend tool by selecting them both. Command Option B. It's putting a line in the middle there nice and accurately. We can now go to Object, Blend Options, and bump up the specified steps to add more lines in.
Nice.
That's how many we've got in our design. We've got 2 in between, so let's do 2 steps like that. Okay, that's nice. All right, good. Let's press Flip and Copy with that selected. Cool. We've got an extra path point in there now because we've flipped that over, but I need to expand that first because at the minute it's actually only 2 path points with a blend effect added.
Yeah.
We need to expand that. Is this going to work? No. Don't know why. I think it's because it needs the dialogue, and yesterday in our session we removed the dialogue from that action, so we're going to have to use my old keyboard shortcut, Option Command E to expand, because it has an object fill and stroke. It needs that in, and now it's expanded into the strokes. They're a bit pronounced, so we can drag these up. Okay, and I can use a circle to cut this off. I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm just going to group that together. Let's make a badge for my brother with his name in. So I want to press L for my ellipse tool, draw a circle, center align it to screen. Working quick now. I'm going to bump this up.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I'm going to move our design to the middle, or I think is optically the middle of that circle. Shrink that down a little bit. Oh, we've got a stray path point over here. I was just wrecking my bounding box again. There we go. Shrink that down. Cool. Let's put a border around this for our badge. Maybe if wants to create his trusty workforce, his warrior army of technical specialists for telecommunications, he can create a badge to put on some uniforms for his guys,
fantastic.
for his girls. We will copy this. We're going to Command F. I'm showing my age there by saying Apple F all the time.
Yeah.
Command F.
I mean, we all say it still,
Yeah.
but you mentioned you were 39. I'm 39 as well.
So it's Flynn as well, isn't it?
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
When's your birthday?
It's December the 23rd. I just had it.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
There you go. And Merry Christmas at the same time.
Not allowed to say that. Not allowed to celebrate Christmas in my house until my birthday.
Yeah. Tree doesn't go up until the 24th.
That's right, yeah.
Hey, there's a question from Luz. How come you didn't use a grid to draw the icon?
A grid to draw the central section? I didn't really need to. I mean, you can do that, and it absolutely speeds you up for shape-based designs. But in that sense, it was already kind of designed for me.
Yeah.
And because this is so circular and has a bit of negative space, it kind of needs the eye. It's
Yeah.
an optical logo, like it needs a bit of visual adjustment to make it work.
And you can see it with the white spaces just above
Yeah.
in those sections. It looks like they're just layered on top of each other.
That's it. Sorry, I'm doing stuff without explaining what I'm doing now. So the type on a path tool is under here, T. Click on that. I drew a circle in the middle, tapped on it, and it allowed me to draw some, type in some, the company name there. These little handles, they're really hard to select, but you see that one there? You drag that over and it creates the orientation for where that type will be, and we want that in the bottom. And then I can just bump the, let's bump up the tracking on that. Where's my panel gone? I must have removed it. Window, character.
Flynn had a question. Can you explain optically aligned versus technically aligned?
All right. So there are, let's say you create a, thanks for throwing me off track. Okay, let's say you draw a square, okay, and let's center that to the artboard using our button, and we'll draw a circle exactly the same height and width as that square. Okay, we'll group those, center them to the artboard.
Yeah.
Now, take a look at those. Which one looks bigger to you?
The square.
The square.
Yeah.
And they're exactly the same height
Yeah.
and width, okay, but they're not because of your bloody eyes
Yeah.
don't work properly, and you have to technically correct that visually by adding a little bit of overshoot to make the
Wow.
circle look just the same. It's the problem you come across in typography all the time.
Yeah.
Eyeballing it is just a massive part of design. I'm a really logistically heavy person. I like it when things are really neat and uniform and the exact height and width. This stuff annoys me because you have to use your eye, and there's no sort of.
So if you didn't do that just now and you saw that, you'd be like, that's not a line.
Yeah. And your eye will be like, what's wrong? Something's wrong here. And this is a big part of logo designers. Something's not right with this, and I don't know what it is. Somewhere in there, an illusion has taken place.
Interesting.
And there's loads of illusions logo designers have to account for. The Poggendorf illusion, the irradiation illusion, the thing that white looks more bloated than black on different backgrounds. All sorts of stuff you have to account for. Happy, Flynn? Okay, can I move on?
We can go into
Thanks.
illusions in another session, okay?
There's a whole session on that. Yeah. Let's double click on our type on a path tool here. We're going to go set that to the center and just preview that just to make sure that it's working. And then I'm going to bump up the font weight of that to get that sort of a little bit bigger around this badge. And I'm going to actually just physically place a space in there. It's annoying because
well, that doesn't look.
Yeah, the characters aren't quite right. But if I shift that over, the T and the E won't work.
Exactly.
So we're going to have to do some manual tracking on this, unfortunately. So, which may mean that we have to separate these words by duplicating them over.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting a bit picky now in terms of actually designing this thing, but let's do it. We should left align that. Rotate it around. We'll take this one. Send it to artboard.
Nice.
Delete the word Titan. We'll select all. Oops. Hopefully it's got the right one. Yeah, select all. Right align this one. Rotate in place. We'll get the E and the T visually lined up. We can even measure that with a ruler. Who was asking about rulers?
Yeah.
We can do that. There you go. Drag a ruler down, and then we can just line our fiber up.
Nice.
Cool. And now we can take both of those. Hopefully. Just select that and then deselect that outer circle. Bump up the type so that Titan is close. And then maybe, this might not work, we just, on the fiber, we track that one out just a smidge. This needs some tweaking.
Yeah.
It may be that, but there, that's a quick way to do it. Command, semicolon, hide my rulers. Okay, so we're sort of in the right place.
Nice. Megan asked a question. Where did you learn how to do this?
I didn't go to school for it, if that's what you're thinking. I learned over years and years of practice and working with great designers, sitting next to great designers, Adobe live streams or other live streams, because there's no substitute for actually sitting next to someone in an office and watching other people work. So it's fantastic. I'm all for that.
Collaboration.
There you go. All right, let's do some of the little tricks here. Let's put in the word telecommunications. I'm just going to drag this over. Tell me in the chat if I'm spelling this right. I hate typing live.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, thanks.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, we'll see. Center align. Let's. Was our rotate tool? For rotate. Double click. Damn it. I want to do this again because that's going to be. Unless it snaps. It snapped.
There you go.
Fantastic. All right, let's shrink this down a little bit. All right, our text is upside down.
I was going to say, yeah.
Type on a path tool. Double click. Flip. Preview just to show that works. There we go. Back in place with our center to outboard. Beautiful. That's. I don't like that it's like kind of in the middle, sort of there. So what I'm going to do is quite a handy little technique. Is to sort of get it to the outer edge, so it's the same as the type above. I'm going to copy our outer ring there, paste it over the top with Command F. Bring this in. I'm going to take the stroke of that outer edge there and put it to the outside. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And then we're going to line that up so that it actually lines at the baseline of our type. And then we can bring the weight of that stroke down just so that it kind of is filling that gap a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, cool. We're going to take our line tool from the very center of the design here. So just deselect that. Very center of our circle. I'm going to draw a line out that touches the S. I'm going to flip and copy that with our button. Move that over, so that's exactly.
You're making the.
I'm going to cut this away.
Yeah.
Now we can do Command J, I think it is there, to join those together. So that's now one line. And I can select this circle and I can do our lovely shape builder and just remove that from there. Oh, too much. How do I do this? We could bring this to the front, Shift Command, right square bracket, Command Y for outline mode, P for the pen tool, pop our anchor points there, and there where those lines touch. Okay, Command 0, good. We don't need our line here anymore, this line. So we're going to delete. And now we can delete the top path point there and this one. Boop. Okay, pretty cool. Now let's make these top lines the same stroke width as this line for a bit of uniform.
I was going to say.
Something like that, that's pretty cool. I might just bump these up a little bit. That's pretty cool. What I think I'm going to do is take a copy of this. How should I do this? Let's duplicate this over. If I just press Unite, yeah, that'll do. What I'm doing here is I'm creating a mask to cut away from that outer circle so that, hold on, Unite again. No, let's join that line together. I'm just going to join those lines up, pick up the path here, join them. And this little shape here, I'm going to use to cut away from the circle.
Yeah. So then,
See, so that plumage
looks like
shows up. So
forward,
bring that
right?
to the front.
Yeah.
Send that and the outer ring to the back. The plumage will show up in between it. I've messed up completely.
You can see.
I wanted the curve to cut away from that circle.
Oh, I
I've
see.
lost it somewhere along the way. I don't think we'll have time to sort
No,
this out.
that's all right. But
We
I
could
see
just-
what you're trying to do there. You're
From the
trying
centre
to,
here, draw a line. We'll try and match the curve. of
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
And I'll draw a shape back to the middle and then down. I think I've picked up that path, haven't I? Oh no. Sorry, I picked that path up. Well, one line, anchor point, match it down. We'll move that anchor point over so it doesn't pick up the path.
Yeah.
We're going to nudge that one out of the way. Try and keep the curve similar to that outside plume.
Yeah.
Pick the path up again with the P, join this to the middle, make that into a shape, Shift and X just to show where we are, flip and copy, oh, it wasn't selected, sorry. Actually press Unite to make that into a shape before we move, flip and copy, drag that over,
Snap.
Unite.
See, this is where the shortcuts come into play. Look how quickly
Yeah.
James can do this, utilizing this tool, but also how he set it all up. It's incredible.
There we go. And I've got that sort of outer edge that's kind of cutting away
Nice.
from that plumage. But I don't like that that's a kind of like triangle hit now, so I'm going to do one last thing to tidy this off. Copy that outer ring, Command F, paste over the top. I'm going to bring that out just a smidge, and I'm going to bring that to the front, let's group my plumage together first. Command G, bring this ring to the front, select that, I'm going to press Command 7, please work. Yes. Clipping mask.
Nice.
There we go. It's got create a nice round edge to that
Yeah.
plumage there. Sorry, my face is the way. Let's get rid of all these windows. We can see the final product. Happy with that?
I think that's fantastic.
All right.
I mean, look, it would take me probably about an extra 3 hours to do, but
I mean, there's obviously like a lot of tidying up needed with that, and like there's to answer the question of that lady or whoever it was who talked about gridding. Gridding actually does come into play at the very last stage of a logo. So I might send something like that to a client, but before I export it for final use, I'll go through and I'll take away extra redundant path points that aren't needed. I'll tidy up some like things that aren't quite uniform, like maybe sort out that type. Maybe like the distance between there and there should be the same as there and there.
I see. Yeah.
Also, something I've just noticed is that that square cap on here, if I double click into our clipping mask here and get my plumage back, I can create a round cap on the stroke of that. Where's it? I closed it, didn't I?
Your eye for detail is incredible, how you can see those types of things. Obviously, you've been doing this for a very long time.
Yeah, you start to spot
Yeah.
like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Move those up a little bit so it's in the center. It feels like it's in the center of that circle. And there we go. Little things like that. I might even like round off the top of those of the plumage as well. So yeah, that's it.
So would you ever send a black and white version to a client, or would you create ones with colours?
Lots of designers do, yes, because you're signing off the concept rather than the style, and
Yeah.
colour does come into play at the end. I like to add colour though. For my clients. It's so much easier to get a client to sign off a coloured logo than it is a black and white one. They can visualize it more. You can put it into mock-ups and show them immediately. Let's do one now.
Well, I was going to say, like, colour comes with emotion as well, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, warm colours.
It's one of the hardest parts I find. I really struggle with colour. I'm just going to use this embroidered mock-up because we talked before about making, my brother's potentially going to make uniforms out of this logo. If I remove the default one there, paste our logo.
So you're in Photoshop now.
In Photoshop now.
Yeah.
If I have this in Photoshop and it's off-center, notice how my keyboard shortcut still centers it in Photoshop.
Perfect.
Because I've set up actions inside Photoshop to do the same thing. It's a couple of extra steps in Photoshop because you have to select all to create the bounding layer, then align, and then deselect. So that's two, three things, extra steps. But I've set the same keyboard shortcut, which is then mapped to the same shortcut in my create a micro. If I press multiply, it's not going to work in this, is it? Let's just rasterize this vector smart object. It's working really quick and dirty here. Background eraser tools, get rid of our white. Save. And there we go. Lovely.
Oh, nice. Even on the angle as well.
Yeah, got a little bit of Cool, so hopefully he likes that. Plenty better.
Well, if he's watching, I mean...
He'll be asleep now. He lives in England.
Of course,
so
of course.
3 a.m. or
Speaking of England, I know obviously you're from England, accent. Do you have a preference on football teams? I'm a big football fan.
Who do you support?
I was going to ask you first, because there might be a bit of...
I support Newcastle United.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the richest clubs in the world. Let's not get into that. Yeah.
I'm an Arsenal fan.
Oh, no.
What do you mean, oh, no?
I lived in London for a long time. I've been to a few Arsenal games. I support Newcastle because I have family from Newcastle, and
lovely.
my uncle and my cousin both used to play for
Really?
them. So my cousin is David Edgar,
Yeah.
and my uncle is Edward Edgar. And David Edgar is he lives in Canada now, and he coaches Forge FC, one of the Canadian CPL teams out there.
Yeah, fantastic.
So yeah, he's a big footballer. I'm terrible at football. I play indoor football here.
I was going to say, do you play?
I do play, but I am rubbish. Yeah, I'm absolutely terrible. My brother's very good though, so I'm sure he'll appreciate this kind of football style badge for his
Nice.
for his new company there.
Nice, I love it. What does your 2024 look like?
Okay, well, make another course. So, by the way, this whole thing is an extraction from a course I just made in Adobe Illustrator.
Yep.
If you're watching, go to barnard.co/course and use the code Adobe Live 50, and I'll give you 50% off. Because there's loads more in here. You can get some of the downloads from this. All of those actions and setups for this Creator Micro are in that course as downloads, so you can just load them straight into Illustrator. So that's really handy, so you can actually just nick mine and totally run with those if you wanted to. And it's on Skillshare as well, if you have a Skillshare account. But if you go there, click the link in my bio, because I get a little cut from that if you do end up signing up. Thank you. It just crossed 1,000 students this morning.
Wow.
They featured it yesterday on their newsletter as Class of the Week. So yeah, you'll learn loads more about that. I do another logo run through in that course, and I talk more about the process and more about how to set up your files. And there's a whacking great section in there about some bonus tips and all sorts of stuff. So yeah,
fantastic.
Check it out.
There was a question actually from Megan. Does your course teach how to set up these actions that we just did?
Absolutely.
There you go, Megan.
Broken down, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think we can wrap. Thank you, James, for showing us that. That was fantastic. I learned a lot as well. I'm really interested to see what type of logos I can come up with in an hour, 45 minutes. Thank you so much for your time, and I really look forward to doing one of these again with you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, guys.
See you guys soon.
Bye-bye.